Welcome to the Circuit Python Show. I'm your host, Paul Cutler. This episode, I welcome Noe Ruiz, who is a designer engineer with Adafruit Industries and the co-host of 3D Hangouts, which you can catch every Wednesday on the Adafruit YouTube channel. Noe, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
How did you first get started with computers and electronics?
Sure, we'll start with the computer first and then electronics. So back in the 90s, like around 94, 95, my brother Pedro, he saw an advert or an infomercial on local television about using a Macintosh to do your book reports and edit video and do graphic, publishing. So he was really enamored in that, and it really got him into let's get a Mac, because we didn't have a computer yet. And, it was the 90s and folks were starting to get computers, and that was, I think, a really good investment. It wasn't cheap, but man, did we just invest all our times in learning how to use that thing, using Super Power Goo and all these creative Mac Paint, kind of style apps. That really got me on the track to doing creative design work. And then for the electronics, I got a Makey, I think around December of 2012 or 2013. We saw their Kickstarter video. Me and Pedro did. We thought this would be a really cool, kind of gadget that we can, play with and maybe make some projects around. So the Makey was our first entry into electronics.
How did you get into design?
Design, I've always been enamored with design. For high school, I took a commercial arts class, and there I learned the principles of design, color theory, typography, and it was a good mix of doing the traditional stuff, printing things out, making things for stationery, but also designing things in Photoshop, Quark Express, Illustrator. So that's where I really got to get my training in. Design for me has always been a thing. Before I had a computer, I was always drawing, so I was always creative in that realm, just drawing and loving special effects from movies like Jurassic Park, and watching I think it was called Movie Magic on Discovery Channel. That's the sort of stuff that we were really into. So I think that's kind of how I got into design.
How did you first get into design for 3D printing?
Yeah, so really it started off when Pedro decided to get a MakerBot replicator near the end of 2012. He saw that it was a really big thing that happened. I guess it was CES. He saw that the MakerBot replicator was something that you can now purchase. You don't have to put it together. It's ready to go out of the box. It was really, focused around creative designers. So he just went ahead and bought that. He already had 3D modeling experience. I had barely any 3D modeling experience, but I saw him 3D print one of his models that he made. At that time, we were working on a iPhone game that was centered around the Tron light cycle type of game mechanic. And he 3D printed his Tron cycle model. And I was like, this is so freaking cool. I gotta learn how to do this. I don't know how I stumbled upon this CAD. Back in those days, it was very scrappy, small team, but it was a web-based 3D modeling app that was you just dropped in primitive shapes, you smashed them together, and you can make something really cool. So I thought I'd make, I think it was either a pencil holder or that eventually turned into a planter, because Pedro actually was, he had a collection of carnivorous plants. These are pitcher plants and Nepenthes plants. And I thought it'd be really cool to make a planter that was a face, and the pitcher plant and the leaves were kind of its hair. So I spent my time working on that, and I came up with this kind of cool thing. You can actually still find my Tinkercad designs from 2012, 2013. And I thought that was the coolest thing ever. So I just kept at it, making more and more planters. Eventually I got into, making things around the house, light fixtures, little signs that were all, based around typography and stuff. So that's kind of how I got into the design. I was the printer was there and I wanted to do something. I saw Pedro do something. I was I got to do something too.
A lot of your designs use snap fit enclosures. How and why did you start designing this way?
Yeah, so snap fit enclosures was something that I think the way I remember is I remember doing the Pie Girl project for Adafruit back in 2013 or 2014, and all my projects from that era was all screw driven standoffs. Like you have screws for everything. But as you know, with Adafruit Learn Guides, we have to document assembly, and screwing things over and over again for years and years and years became kind of a nuisance. And I remember getting the idea by looking at the enclosure for my dental floss, right? Or maybe even it was a shampoo bottle, but all these things have these little snap fit like tops that have this tiny little ridge and a tiny little like indentation. And I was looking at it one day brushing my teeth and I was like, what if I could design this into the enclosure so I no longer need to like invest my time into screwing things and taking it apart. So it took me quite a few times to really nail like the right layer height and the right size and geometry for the snap fits. So I think around the Pi Girl Zero, which is like maybe the third or fourth Pi Girl, because we've done so many of them, that's when I finally figured out, okay, this is like the right kind of recipe to make snap fit enclosures. And then from then on, I just started adding it to everything. So I think that's kind of the origin story. Dental floss.
That is a great story. I would have never guessed that was the origin and the inspiration for snap fit enclosures.
Yeah, some clever person came up with that, and it's just like you see it everywhere. You know, all the shampoo bottles and, like I said, dental floss, they all use this snap fit kind of thing, which is like super clever.
You've been doing 3D Hangouts with Pedro for over 500 episodes and 11 years. What are some of your favorite memories?
Yeah, so I had to look back because like it's been a while, right? So I think the most memorable one was doing it live in New York at the Adafruit headquarters. And we did an episode where we had like 5 guests. We had Philip Burgess, we had Scott Shawcroft, we had a bunch of people on it. Like I forget, like we had a bunch of people on that. It was a really fun show, and it warrants another rewatch because it was just fun to see how many folks in Adafruit we could stuff into the camera there in the camera shot. So that was a really memorable one.
I'll have to see if I can track that one down and add it to the show notes.
Yeah, please do.
Any other memories come to mind that you've enjoyed over the years?
The other memorable moment was just the first one. It was the first episode. It was really nerve-wracking, and rewatching it for just a couple minutes, you know, I feel a little cringe because hearing my own voice doesn't sound that great. But it's nice that that it was like our beginning journey of like, how do you structure a show? What kind of segments? Yeah, it felt more structured back then. Like we had more 3D news was a part of the beginning of the show. And we had another co-host, actually. We had Matt Griffin, who was Adafruit community lead. And he helped us out, really, doing the first episode. He eventually went on to work with Ultimaker. But it was really cool to have like 3 people doing this, where he would cover the news, and then we would do a little bit of layer by layer. And then I think we ended it with our learn guides. But yeah, episode 1, that's got to be a nice milestone to do the first one.
You maintain a GitHub repository of CAD files for Adafruit parts. What goes into creating each part?
Yeah, so Lamar still uses Eagle CAD, which has now been folded into Autodesk Fusion. And they have this nifty feature where you can open an you can open an Eagle CAD file in Fusion and generate it into a 3D model. So from there, you can choose, you know, how thick you want your PCB. You can choose what color of solder mask, silkscreen. You can map different 3D models to all the different footprints for the components. So what I end up doing is I just kind of click that generate button, and then from there, you know, I clean up some of the solder mask stuff because there's like some extra labels and stuff. But from there, I really like DigiKey's. Searching through DigiKey's catalog, you can find a lot of 3D models of all sorts of components, jelly bean components, of course, but also, you know, a lot of the temperature pressure sensors are all out there. All the CAD models are out there for those various types of sensors. So it's really nice to kind of get those and then just map them to the 3D model. I think like a few years ago, like I had to draw them out not by hand, but like you would get the data sheet and you would kind of sketch it out and make the part by hand. But nowadays I rarely have to do that because it's amazing just how many 3D models of various sensors and components there are. So it's really nice. And DigiKey also brings in 3D models from other places like EasyEDE, and I think there's a few other ones, but they kind of aggregate all the different data sheets plus CAD models. And another cool thing about DigiKey is you can, when I'm searching for a part, there is a filter where you can say, show me the 3D model, and that way I can only see like the 3D model for the thing, which is nice because there's a lot of like, repeating components like buttons, for example. Like there's so many buttons on DigiKey. So it's nice that if one, manufacturer doesn't have it, another one does, and it's pretty much the same shape. Another thing, like I kept doing it so much that I needed to make a learn guide and a layer by layer tutorial on how I do it. So there are resources out there now. So it's definitely documented. But getting the word out is still like one of those things I struggle with. So maybe we can get the word out here now, but I need to talk about it more.
People can request parts via issues on the GitHub repo too. Do you get an opportunity to get to some of those requests from time to time?
Yeah, I try to do one a week. This week I actually did 2 or maybe 3. Yeah, I encourage folks to go out there and add your part request. Normally I try to just do Adafruit circuit boards, not like kind of components that we stock from other places, like a connector or something like that. Those are a little bit trickier to do because I kind of have to find a data sheet and like, draw it from scratch. But doing Adafruit PCBs is like, I got the workflow pretty much locked down. So I encourage folks to add their part request. And going forward, we are starting to, as the new product gets released, as a part of the learn guide for that product, we're starting to like get that generated. So we're trying to get those more a part of like the release of the learn guide or the product learn guide. So
very cool. You mentioned Layer by Layer earlier, which is a playlist you have on YouTube where you walk through how to design various things using a CAD program like Fusion 360. What motivated you to start Layer by Layer?
Yeah, so me and making tutorials it goes way back to like my early web design days where I just wanted like a way to kind of teach my coworkers like how I could do certain things, maybe be more efficient, or here's a cool tip on how I design this thing. So I've always been doing that for all the different like careers, I guess you could say, like from web design to UX design for mobile devices. So as I started learning more and more about CAD, going from Tinkercad to 123D and then to Fusion, I just thought it was like an interesting thing to do. And I always felt that like once you kind of teach something or try to do like a tutorial, then you really start to understand like the workflow or the technique. So I think it was instilled in me from an early age that that's a really good way to kind of learn is to like try to teach it.
If anyone wants to learn more about you and your work, where should they go?
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram. That's normally where I post my stuff. My handle is @Ecken, ECKEN.
Last question I ask each guest. You're starting a new project or prototype. Which board do you reach for?
That's a good question. I probably would reach for, these days, probably a Cutie Pie ESP32 type board, mainly because it's so small and it has the STEMMA QT connector, so I can connect all sorts of sensors and things to it. Yeah, the Cutie Pie seems to be like my go-to now.
Noe, thanks so much for coming on the show.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the CircuitPython Show. For show notes and transcripts, visit www.circuitpythonshow.com. Until next time, stay positive.